Hello everyone, greetings. I am Sandeepa, Functional English and Life Skills Trainer at Andhra Pradesh Social Welfare Residential School and Junior College, Buchreddypalam in Nellore district. Under the supervision of APSSTC and SchoolNet India Limited, Naipunya Vikasam classes are also facilitating the students to learn and practice the basic life skills which help them to succeed further. Life skills are the behavioral skills which enable the students to handle the situations carefully by balancing the issues and problems effectively. These skills help the students to contribute their best for a good citizenship. So in today's session, we will be discussing about a very vital life skill, that is understanding communication. So the theme for the session is communication. So let me begin this session with a question: what is meant by communication? There are many answers, like when people talk to each other, when we receive or send something in written form, exchange of ideas, feelings, and opinions, or when we hear or watch something on electronic audiovisual devices like television, computer, or on a radio. So there are many answers for the communication. I have made it short in a line that the process of sending and receiving messages to achieve understanding. So without understanding it can't be said as a communication. So the process of sending and receiving messages to achieve understanding with the aid of some medium is called as communication. The person who sends the information or a message is called as sender, and the person who receives it is called as the receiver. So these two are the main components of the communication: sender and receiver. So this flow chart will explain us the process of understanding communication. So here a flow chart is being shown to you, and it explains the steps that are involved in communication process for a proper understanding. In this flow chart we can see the components of communication process. In the first box of the chart, sender is written. The word sender is written, which means the person who is willing to send the message or information, or who is ready to share his ideas, thoughts, expressions, or feeling. So sender means usually the speaker who starts the conversation, means he is willing to share his ideas, thoughts, expressions, or feelings in a form of message or an information. So that is written in the second box. In the place of ideas we can exchange the word idea with the expression or thought or feeling or opinion or anything. So whatever the sender is willing, that we can write it in the second box. The third one is encoding. So in the third box the word encoding is written. So encoding of a message, the way in which the sender wants to send his message, is called as encoding. So it may be a request, sender may request the receiver, or it may be a order or a command or a suggestion or an advice. So the way in which the sender wants to send his message is called as encoding of a message. For example, if the sender is teacher and the receiver is student, then the encoding of the message may be it can be a order or a command or a suggestion. For example, if the sender is your friend and receiver are you, then the encoding of message may be a request. So in the same way. Next, in the fourth box, the word channel is written. Channel means the media or the means through which the communication is done. For example, a letter. So in olden days, the communication between the people was mostly through the letters or written form. An email. For example, today you want leave for the school and you want to intimate your class teacher. If you email it, then that is a channel. Next, a telephone call. Next, SMS, or in person directly. So all these are the channels through which the communication is done. Next, receiver. The person who receives the message is called as receiver. So as we discussed earlier, if teacher is the sender of the message, then the receiver will be the student. Next, decoding. The way of understanding the ideas and thoughts of the sender is called as decoding. Means teacher ordered you to finish the classwork notebook immediately, the work which is pending. So that she encodes and sends it to you through a media, means in person directly. Then you will decode that. You will decode the thing which is sent by the teacher, the message or the information which is sent by the teacher. Then you will start completion of your work. So that is called as decoding. And final, in the last box, it is written, the word feedback is written. Feedback is response given by the receiver. So when teacher asks you to complete your pending work in your classwork notebook, you will say, you will give the feedback. You will give the feedback that yes ma'am, I will complete it. So that is the feedback. So this is the process in which the communication is done. The first one I repeat, so I'll this will be explained it to you in detail in, with an example of a doctor patient conversation. Suppose, so in the first box you can see it is written, the sender decides the message to be transmitted. So here I am going to explain you the process of communication in a detailed way with the help of a doctor and patient conversation. Suppose if a patient visits a doctor, then let us assume the patient as sender. Suppose in the earlier example given, while explaining the flowchart, I have given the example of teacher and student. So the teacher was the sender and she sent a message to complete the incomplete work in classwork notebook, and the channel was in person, means the teacher talked with the student directly and the receiver was the student. Student understood the message, he or she decoded the message and gave the feedback that she is going to complete her classwork notebook incomplete work. So here we will take one more example, that is doctor patient conversation. So patient, suppose assume that patient as a sender of the message. So when patient visits the doctor, then he will wish the doctor and he will start speaking, then doctor will ask for the problem, then the sender, that is a patient, will start explaining his problem. So then in the first step he will share his feelings with the doctor about his health, means the sender decides the message to be transmitted. Here the patient decides to speak with the doctor regarding his health issue. So I hope you understood the first box. The sender decides the message to be transmitted. Now the sender is patient and he decided to speak about his health issue with the doctor and he transmitted the message. The sender encodes the message, means encoding means, as I explained you, encoding means the way in which the sender wants to send his message. So it may be a request. So usually patients speak to the doctor in a requesting manner regarding their health issue. So he will request the doctor to consider his health problem. Next, in the third box, the sender selects the appropriate channel of communication. So here in the third box, the channel. So as I explained you, the channel means the medium through which the communication is done. So here also patient went to doctor directly. So here also communication, the channel of the communication is in person directly. Next, the receiver, the person who receives the message. Here who will be the receiver? Then the doctor will be the receiver. He received the message from the patient that he is suffering from fever or some sort of illness. Next, the doctor decodes the message, means he understands the feelings of sickness about the patient. Next, finally, the feedback, the last box, the last box, the receiver provides the feedback to the sender. Now, doctor decodes the message received and he gives the feedback, means he starts to advise the patient. So this is how a communication process happens. If this process happens, only we can say that the communication is understood. So for proper communication, proper understanding is a very essential component. Communication skills are needed to speak appropriately with a wide variety of people. So communication skills are very very important, very vital, because they help us, they are very essential in our day to day life. It it is the most important life skill which enables us to pass information to other people. So whenever we need to pass information to other people. So daily in our lives, maybe it in school or in hostel or in hospital or in road, we daily somewhere and somehow we need to communicate with the people, and people should understand what is said by us, and we should understand what is said to us by the people. So the main types of communication which are required for proper communication are verbal and non-verbal communication skills. Verbal communication means in oral and written form, and non-verbal communication is by using body language, gestures and signs. So these two are the major types of communication which we require in our daily lives. Verbal, so which means oral, which is done in oral and written form, and non-verbal by using body language, gestures and signs. So here we are going to discuss about essential communication skills for our career. Listen. So first one is listening. Listening is one of the most fundamental components of communication skills. There are many benefits for active listening. Say for example you are listening to English class. Suppose now I am explaining you about understanding communication. So if you listen to the session, then only you will be able to understand. Say it a movie. If you listen and if you watch the movie, then only you will understand what is happening. If you want to learn English, not only English, any language, if you listen to it, then only you will be able to understand. So listening is a very important component of communication skill. And the second one is friendliness. This is the ability to maintain good interpersonal relationship, to work as a part of a team. So when we are communicating in our workplace, in school or in hospital, wherever, so if you speak to the other people in a friendly manner, then only they will reciprocate to us in a proper way. Otherwise proper healthy relationships can't be maintained. The third one, open mindedness. So always be open minded. Say now you are listening to the class, if you are not able to understand certain thing, then you can ask your teacher open mindedly what you haven't understood. In the same way you have to receive the sender's message also with open mindedness. Next, non-verbal communication. Body language and other non-verbal components of communication accounts 50% of overall communication. So body language, for example, both the speaker and the sender and the receiver both should maintain proper body language. The speaker should maintain proper eye contact, hand and arm gestures, posture and body position, and along with proper tone. So all these things are required when a speaker is addressing, when a sender is willing to send the message. And in the same way the receiver also should reciprocate in a proper, with a proper non-verbal communication. So this is also very important. Next one is confidence. So we should be confident while speaking in a eh, while speaking we should be very confident, so it assures and it builds the trust of the audience. Next, the final one is feedback. Giving and receiving feedback is very important as it stands as the result of overall communication. So these are the very essential communication skills which are required. The first one is listening. As I told you many times, good listeners, only the good listeners can become the good speakers. So listening is a very important component. The second one is friendliness, the ability to maintain good interpersonal relationship. Open mindedness should be there to clarify our doubts. The non-verbal communication, our reciprocation towards the speaker, or our gestures, our body posture, everything should be in a proper way. Then we should be confident when speaking. Then feedback is very important. Giving feedback as well as receiving feedback is important as it stands as the result of the proper communication. So here I'm going to assign you with two activities which will help you to understand the communication in a proper way. The first one is back to back drawing. So I am as shown in the picture, partners will sit with their backs to each other. So in the picture you can see, so here two people are sitting with their backs to each other. So one of the partners will be given the guidelines for the drawing of a picture. Say here, in the picture you can see the diagram of a sand dam. So instead of sand dam, you can substitute the sand dam with any of your favorite picture, like say it as a house or a boat or a coconut tree, anything. So one of the partners will be given the guidelines for the drawing of a picture. The other person is given an exercise book, pencil and rubber. So person A is given here in the picture, the person is given the guidelines, and the person B is given the exercise book, pencil and rubber. Means the person A will give the guidelines to person B for drawing the picture. So here, why this activity is assigned is the person A should be able to communicate properly. So here the sender is person A, and he is going to encode the message and he is going to send it to person B through direct medium, means in person directly they are speaking. Next, the person B will receive the message, will decode. Here the receiver is person B, he will decode the message. Then finally the feedback is the picture which is drawn by the person B. So when the game starts, the person A will start to explain the drawing steps to be followed. The other one will just listen and draw by following the guidelines. So understanding communication is based on how well the drawing comes out. So if you understood the communication, the process of communication is, if it have went well, then the picture will come out in a very extraordinary way. In the second picture, already you might have practiced this activity in your primary schooling with the help of teachers instructions. As now you are in quarantine, or now as your teacher, in the absence of teacher, you can take help of your friend or your cousin or your anyone. With the help of your parents also, you can practice this listen and draw activity. Otherwise you can act as a teacher and assign this activity to your friends, where you can explain or give instructions of a diagram. That picture should be in your mind, you should not share it to your friends, and you should give only guidelines. For example, if you are going to give the instructions for drawing of a house, then ask them to guide them with the guidelines, like draw a rectangle, place a triangle on its top, then draw the windows, like that. So you should not reveal the picture, you can only give instructions. After completion of this giving instructions, then you can observe the picture. So these two are the activities which you can practice, and you can play it with fun also. These are not that much serious activities, you can enjoy, and you can draw the picture. So this things will help you how well have you understood the communication which is done. So importance of good communication will help us to develop and understand all the means developing of our communication can help us in all aspects of our life, from our schooling to our professional life to social gatherings and everything in between. So the ability to understand communication is very important and vital life skill, and by doing so we can improve our quality of life. So when we have proper communication skills, we can excel wherever we are. So this is very very important and vital life skill. I hope you understood, and if you have understood, then you can do this quick test very very aptly. So here I have given you 10 questions which are MCQs. You can read the questions and you can pick the correct answer for each question. So after completion of this uh, ex- uh, assignment task, you can assess yourself how much have you understood about the understanding of communication. I hope you enjoyed this session, and thanks for watching.